Hello, the game has started. My opponent has gone first. And I have a non-bingo rack, but it's balanced. And I have scoring tiles. I note that my C can go in front of the H. But I'd like to get rid of the O and the U with this move, and I prefer to get rid of the F rather than the C. The C is quite bingo-y. So how can I achieve that? Not easily. I've got Rouche on my rack, R-O-U-C-H-E. That keeps O-F, not great. So what about an O-F play? How about Roof here keeping EQ, 27 points. I could play 4, getting rid of the U rather than the O, which would be a better rack leave. But 4 fewer points. And providing access to premium spaces. I'm going with this. How much does the R add to this move? I think it's better on my rack. It only adds 1 point. It's certainly worth more than that on my rack. Oof for 26. Well, the U not so much of a problem, given that I've now drawn a Q. But the rack isn't awash with Q plays. Through an E, I would have Q and Qer. And also onto an E, I would have Grec. No E's available. I don't have to get rid of the Q immediately since I have the Q. Well, I do need to get rid of one of them. So I could play Cure and Coof. That doesn't burn the G, and the G and the Q go particularly badly together. So what about playing Gru for 18 and placing the U next to this double word square also increases the value of this rack leave. Slightly concerned about the lack of vowels. But if I played just G-U-R, then the score goes down dramatically. I'm going with this. Great. I do now have a rack which I can use to sort out the Q. I've got Quip and I've got Kipu on my rack, plus the S, which I can also use. I don't think there is a bingo here. Peek onto an E. This E not particularly available in the sense that there aren't enough squares to the left to play peek, and also any play in row L is not going to get doubled. My opponent's likely to play around Gru because everywhere else is really bingo territory. And by that I mean a play through this double word square gets doubled, whereas anything else doesn't. So I have Kipus in column 10, getting the Q tripled. That's quite nice. I also have it in row K, getting the whole word doubled. And my opponent is not going to block both of those. I normally send out a seek request to anybody with a rating over 1400, but when I logged on, my opponent contacted me, hence I'm playing him. Great, just 14 points for my opponent. I can now play Kipus here, getting rid of both U's. And I can't see any good alternative plays. Fantastic, that looks very close to a bingo. Through an N, I would have Eniadic and Decennia. There could be a 7 here, but I'm not seeing it. So what about the available floaters? The Q, very unpromising. The U, well, close to induce CE, but I don't quite have the tiles for that. The I, unpromising. So what about the P? That looks like there could be something. Not seeing it. Okay, so are there any other lanes I've not considered? Well, there's the E of grew, unpromising. Well, if I don't have a bingo, I'll be breaking up a very bingo-y rack, which is a shame. Just wondering if I have a play in column 11, which gets doubled and uses the Q. Well, the N would have to go next to the U. So something like I-N-D-E. Nope, not seeing anything which works in that spot. Can't see any Q plays which get doubled. So, my initial enthusiasm over this rack, somewhat diminished. Mailer takes an E in front. Now, the R does that assist. Deracine, great, and that gets doubled. I don't see any point looking for a better play because it won't be much better. Deracine for 76. And another pretty good rack. It's slightly vowel heavy, not bingo heavy, vowel heavy. Can't see a 7 here. There could be an 8 through the right floater. But on this board, there's almost no floaters at all. And certainly no consonant floaters. Opponent could be drawn to row H. Hence, one or more new floaters. If I don't have a bingo, I'll be able to leave a really good rack leave. What I won't be able to do, or am unlikely to be able to do, is to score well. So with only 1 pointers, where are the scoring tiles on the board? Well, there's the Q, so, well, I've got Cades. 30 points. Keeping A-double-E-N. Okay, so that's a bit wrecking. What about a play in column 11? I-N-L. Not seeing anything which works. So what would be my ideal rack leave? I guess A-E-I-N-S is quite appealing. In which case I'd need to play off A-E. I could do that down here with F-A-E. 14 points, not bad. Anywhere else for A-E? N-A-E for 9. I'm less enamoured of that. The E probably more useful to my opponent than me, if I'm retaining A-E-I-N-S. Do I have anything onto or through this M? Well, I have anime. 21 points, keeping A-E-S, that's not bad. I think Deracine takes an S. Now, 35 points for my opponent, a good score. Firstly, do I have a bingo through this R? Not that I can see, but I do miss 5 vowel 8s. They're particularly hard to spot. I do have Cades still available. I still have anime, but I think column 15 is now a hotter spot. And I'm looking at, well, to see if I can get an A next to this Z, but that would require an A play. And I can't see one. Alternatively, it would require a 6-letter play beginning with A, and there isn't one. So what I can do is just AE here, leaving my beautiful rack leave, scoring 15 points and crushing my opponent's hopes of playing in column 15. And I'm retaining the S to stick on the end of Tsar, which would be burnt if I'd played Decades. I'm going with this. And I draw AE, which happens. And I still have FAE in column 3, but it's slightly annoying to get a succession of low scores, because then when you finally bingo, you're no further ahead than if you'd just gone ahead and wrecked the rack, scoring 30 points. However, you still need to regard each rack on its merits, and it's irrelevant that this rack is identical to the previous one. It elicits more of an emotional response than a rational one. The play of AE has not materially changed the board in terms of what's available to me with this rack. Now, Hadge takes an I after it. I think that's just useful to note. So FAE for 14. Yeah, and that takes nothing after it. And this time I draw E and I. Clearly this can't carry on forever, and there are 2 blanks out there, so it's not great just playing off a couple of tiles for a low score. However, I really couldn't see anything massively better. Still 2 S's out there. Now I could play Anime, 21 points, turning over more tiles, wrecking the rack. But what's the best I can do with just EI? I do have Isle in column 11, but that's wrecking the rack and burning the S. 31 points though. Well, Anime certainly better than that. Quite useful this I spot for Hadge. If opponent uses it, he'll be opening up row O. However, right now with just 1 point tiles and no bingo, I'm not going to be able to punish him for doing that. I have a 50-point lead, but opponent is on turn. I am inclined to play Anime. I really haven't seen anything great with the I and the E, or indeed with I, E and one more vowel. I guess row E, fairly hot, but I'm not seeing anything through that P. Great, just 8 points for my opponent, and he's burning vowels as well, so we could be in for a vowel shortage later. Anime for 21. More vowels. This time the 2 I'd like to burn are U and I, and look at this, I've got the U for going after the Q. But can I play in row B something which gets doubled, which retains the S? And I'm not sure I can. And it's only 30 points for quids. Plus I'll be keeping A, E, I, T. Not great. Let me check the remaining vowels. All the A's have gone. Wow, look at this. Let me just recount because I couldn't believe what I first counted. There are only 9 vowels out of 42 tiles in the unseen pool, so we are heading for a vowel shortage, and that means that the quids play is suddenly a lot better. A, E, I, T. I'm not going to be duplicating the A. And, well, I'm not going to be drawing a U. And there's only 3 E's and 2 I's, so quids suddenly a much better play. So 28 for my opponent. He's opened row O. Is there a bingo with this rack? Where are the available consonants? There's the N of anime. Not seeing anything with that. The T of twin is available. Nothing there, and that's it. So I think I need to keep scoring. I want to outrun my opponent. His rating is significantly lower than mine, and my lead is only 30 points. And so quits will take it up to 60. That's a bingo lead. The alternative, Etwe, 14 points, retaining the S, burning the E though, but stopping my opponent from playing there. And there are a lot of big tiles. Etwe provides nothing because there aren't 7 squares after FAE before you hit twin. I am ahead. This board is super tight for bingo lanes. So I was going to say, so I'm going to play Etwe, but it is the last U, and I'm turning down the opportunity of scoring 30 points for quids. Plus the S isn't much use on a board with no vowel, or with no bingo lanes. Tricky situation. Well, I think we're going to go for a doer end to this game. I'm going to play Etwe. I'm going to outrun my opponent. Fantastic. Fantastic. I have Perusia in row A. And I'm sure I have something in row E onto this E. However, any such play is going to open a triple-triple. Perusia far less dangerous. Do I have an alternative bingo? Gru takes a number of consonants after it, so row M is a bingo lane through this E. Not seen anything immediately through that, but that is a great looking rack. Row 11, column 11 rather, no longer a bingo lane. Row L is a bingo lane for bingos ending AR. And there could be one because, well, possibly not actually. OR is I think a better ending than AR. So my hopes. My opponent has blocked my Perusia spot. That is annoying. And he scored 41 points, which is worse. So my lead is just 6 points. And if I play in row E, I'll be providing floaters for my opponent with a blank out there. However, only 6 vowels out of 30 tiles, so he's unlikely to bingo even if he has the blank. Let me stick the P in column 1, because it's probably the least bingo-y tile. What do I have beginning with P and ending with E? I was going to say parodies. That's obviously not right. That ends with an S. Let me run through the alphabet. That's the parodies rack. I have aphorized, so I certainly do have a bingo. But that A likely to be useful given the vowel shortage. 11 minutes on my clock. Polarize, that's the one. I'm going to carry on because there are better tiles than P in first place, which the blank could be. The Q, for example, but I don't have one. I don't have a bingo with that. The V is also one I was thinking of, and I have vaporized. Great. That was an exercise worth completing. So I have vaporize in row E. That's in my back pocket. I've got 10 minutes on the clock. Is there a bingo elsewhere which doesn't open up bingo lanes? So that would be a play in row M, beginning with the E, or one square to the left. Not seeing a play immediately. Where else? Pretty much nowhere, or nowhere that I haven't already considered. So let me get this down. Vaporize for 68. Great, I draw the second blank. I do draw a vowel, which is good. Column 1, not only is the V unbingo-y, but it also scores 0 points as the blank. So any play in column 1, if it's not a bingo, isn't going to score very much. And even if it is a bingo, it's going to score as little as possible. And I have a 70-point lead. I'll be looking to score with the K. Once the new words come in, I would have OK and Ken. That hasn't happened yet on ISC. That changeover is happening, I think, around the world on the 1st of July in terms of tournament plays. But when ISC gets updated is anybody's guess. I have Volk in column 1 for 21 points, keeping blank R double T, which is quite nice. So, do I have a bingo through the A? I have talk as a component part of a word. Not seeing anything. Great. Opponent takes out those bingo lanes. Scores quite well, so my lead only 30 points. But I'm in quite a strong position. 14 tiles left. So, do I play Co? It's 32 points. It's providing nothing. It would certainly be nice to play off one more consonant. Although this is not a disaster. So I could play Tokay, but that makes it really easy for opponent to score, and since my lead is only 30 points, I'd rather not do that. So, what alternatives do I have to KO? Let me put this back so I don't get distracted. Now, I note that an E can still go in front of mailer, making Dex isn't emailer. Twine is good. Twink is good. Nothing doing there though, nothing scoring much. Quite nice to turn over quite a few tiles. I don't want my opponent to get lucky with a bingo. 8 minutes on my clock. I think I will play KO. I don't want to turn over a lot of tiles because I don't want to draw the V's. So, Cobb for 32. Not really surprising. Now, I guess I could have played Celt last go, but actually Co did take out quite a nice spot for opponent to score. He could stick his M or his Y above the O. Not one of the V's, however. I've retained the D and the L for going after Gru, so although I had that in mind as a bingo lane, my priority is just outrunning my opponent, and I don't need a bingo to do that. So I could play Del next go. Only 11 points, but giving nothing away and sorting my rack out. Twiney is good. So opponent could have a play in column 15, still 2 S's. Hadji's is good. Nice play by my opponent, scores well, gets rid of the V's, takes out my Del spot. And I have no vowels. I have 7 minutes on my clock. There are 7 tiles in the bag. What am I going to do? I can play rid and core, 15 points. Quite a useful score given my current lead of 40 or 50. Keeping duplicate L and duplicate T, what a horror show. I mustn't create a new bingo lane, even though I've got the blank. I could play Polt. 7 points. Opponent set up quite a nice spot for himself in row M to place M or Y above this E. Either an E or an O could go above RE. I can't do anything about that, I don't think. I think I will play Polt. Opponent may be inclined to play in row H across to the T, in which case he'll be burning one of his precious vowels. Polt for 7, pretty grim. Should I be burning my blank? 6 minutes on my clock. This is a tricky position to be in. I don't think I will. I'll keep it because it could be useful in using it as an S or an E or a Y. So Polt for 7. Great, I draw a Y. Not only is that good for Twiney, but it's also a quasi-vowel, and it just makes my opponent's job harder, with the E and O being the only vowels. So even if he plays in row M, he'll be burning at least one of those, and then he's just going to be left with a rack of junk. So is there a way I can hang on to my Y? Possibly. There are these vowels up in the top right of the board I could play through. Look at these scores, so low, just 339 and 284. Very low scoring game. But I lead. That is the priority. Via Vaporize pretty much killing column 1, especially with the vowel shortage. Now I could play, well, if I had an N, I could play Timed, where my opponents played Meng. Great. The remaining tiles, non-bingo-y. I lead by 30 odd points. This should be enough. So, what to do here? Do I really have nothing with Y in second place? I don't. I don't have anything with the blank as an S. No SY plays. Opponent probably has got the O. 4 minutes on my clock. Just wondering if there's anywhere on the board for dry. I'd just like to score a bit more. Give a bit more breathing space between my opponent and myself. Great, well I do have dry down here. I don't think this is giving anything away. Opponent could burn his O next to the Y, but then he's going to be left with 4 consonants, not very appealing. And 20 points is good, that's going to take me to over 50 points in front. Just wondering if there's an alternative play down here. I guess there's try, which gets rid of the duplicate problem. Takes an E after it, and there are none, and I have a blank, which I can use as one. Scores 3 fewer points. 3 minutes on my clock. So, are there any other spots on the board? I don't have to play here. What about these vowels up the top? 3 minutes on my clock. Can I set up a selfish hook given that I've got the blank? I think I can, in the sense that I can play lead, which takes an E. I'll only have 6 tiles, but it just gives me an option. For example, I could play tray next turn, ending EY. The only problem with this, and it's quite a big one, is that LE isn't good. And it's hard to think of a play which doesn't take an S, and the opponent's got 2 of them, so probably not the thing to do. So what about just playing yet for 13? I don't like that, having 6 tiles on my rack. I'd much rather give myself a chance of going out. I'm going back to my first choice, dry for 20 points. Wow, I draw the O. Unbelievable. Opponent has got 7 consonants, including 2 S's. Completely useless. So, can I go out? Quite a few spots to consider. Row M is not one of them. Only 4 tiles available. Column 10 is a possibility. Not seeing anything. Nothing with the blank as a U. Row B, possibly the most likely, with a play ending EN. Not seeing anything. What about a play ending DA or DA something? Not likely. So maybe I can't go out in 1, but I think I'm far enough ahead, or I must be far enough ahead with my opponent's rack. Now, does Meng take any hooks? Does it take an S? In which case I would have Tolts and Mengs. I think it does. Yeah. Great, so I currently do have an out in row L. 1 minute on my clock, 4 minutes on my opponent's clock. Do I have a second out? Just looking at AY. I could have a play ending AYE. Not seeing it. Not seeing anything in row J. Mailer takes an S. Wow, nice play by my opponent. He blocks my out. And I didn't have an alternative. I can play Lote for 10, and I certainly can go out with T blank. Can I do better? 1 minute on my clock. What about Sot? 22 points, that's a lot better. Can I go out with LT? Alt and out, I can. I could block that with mailers. But I think this game, well, I have lit through the eyes, so I'm going with Sot. So where's the best for LT? lat for 5. Tell in column 12 for 7. Not seeing anything else. Great, that stays available. Opponent provides nothing. And the final score, 337 to my opponent, 394 to me, a winning margin of 57 points, so a huge, huge win. Let's see what I missed. So it was my opponent to go fast. He played high oi. He didn't play it there though. Let me go back. Yes, he did. And these are the candidate plays. Coof, I4. Well, that's what I thought about doing, and I changed it to oof. And I still like that. I think the R adds more than 1 point to CEU. Probably maybe 3 or 4 points. Now, opponent, well, let's just see the candidate plays. Opponent plays WAB, which is top of the shop. Good rack leave, good score. And I had a choice of playing Quai through AI, and that's not bad in the sense that I've also got a U for a Q play next turn. I played Gru for 18. Tricky, keeping the Q. Yeah, probably Quai a better play. Opponent's rack plays Fug. I now have Kipus for 48. And that puts me into a small lead. Nice rack for my opponent. He has a choice of bingos, misses them all, or misses them both. Plays Mela. Now I have Deracine, and that was the only bingo. Opponent plays Tsar, and now we burn our way through the vowels. Tsarina good for 32, but sticking an A in the middle of row O, not great. So I play AE for 15, and I like that. Opponent plays Haj. N12, A, I don't like that. And these scores aren't great, and they're all wrecking, so I still like FAE. Remember, I'm keeping AEINS, which is pretty good. I'd say that's worth maybe 20 points, which is big because you then add that to 14 to value the move. Now, opponent's rack. No bingo. Plays OE. And I play Anime for 21, and I like that. Opponent plays Twin. Yeah, we can see it up there. And now my rack. And what do I do here? I play Etui for 14. Really taking out a hot lane for my opponent. Opponent's rack. He plays Dex, and at this point there's just 6 points between us, but I have a fabulous rack. And I play Vaporize, and there were 3 other bingos in that spot. But what's being recommended, A6 op, I don't like because there's just not enough bingo lanes on this board to be sure of bingoing next turn. So although the rack lever blank AIRS is good, given the dryness of the board for bingos. Just row E really, and row M. I prefer getting the bingo down, especially against a weak opponent. Or a weakish opponent. So opponent plays yob. I draw the second blank. Rock d4. Ah, okay, that would have been slightly better. Burning one more tile. Opponent stuck with both of these, plays Viva. And now we're into the grim dying embers of this game. All consonants really struggling here. Played Polt for 7. Opponent's Raki plays Meng. I played Dry. And all these candidate plays Burning the blank. I don't want to do that given I'm short of vowels. Opponent plays Scar. And there was no out. I play Sot for 22. Opponent plays Doors. And finally Tal is best. So, an interesting game, probably the most extreme vowel shortage I've experienced in this video series. It was astonishingly short on vowels with quite a lot of tiles still to come, so it's quite unusual to have these outlier games with rare things just because you don't see them very often, so it's interesting to see how they play out and the sort of choices that you're faced with. And I think inevitably some of the moves towards the end of the game very, very low scoring, but you're still looking to find the winningest move. So I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.